Welcome to Finding Ourself, a podcast about the power of presence, connection, and the transformation that is only possible through touch. So if you're curious about human connection, somatic healing, or what it really means to belong, you're in the right place. Let's find ourselves together. Hello and welcome to an episode of Finding Ourself. My name is Keeley. I'm the CEO and co-owner of Cuddlist, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Michelle Renee. I am the also co-owner and director of training of Cuddlist.
So, today on our episode, we're taking an interesting peek behind the curtain. We're going to talk about Cuddlist as a company. And if you're the type of person who goes, well, that's going to be boring, I challenge you to stay a little bit. But I'll tell you what, something, Michelle, this topic today, talking about the inner workings of the business side, makes me nervous.
What's coming up for you?
Some things that are coming up for me, besides a tickle in my throat, is
that a somatic? Wait, is that a somatic response?
No, genuinely, probably. Like, no, take it with the voice. Don't let somatics are wild, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely think that it's probably linked. So a couple things come up for me. One, since I took over as the CEO of Cuddlist and co-owner, a lot of the decisions primarily fall to me. And that is a responsibility I take really seriously, but it's also a responsibility that is, and I try to have we'll get into all the details of this, but I try to have a collaborative model as opposed to a strictly hierarchical one. But it is still my responsibility and my job. And so a lot of these decisions are based on me. So if people don't like what we're about to say, it's a reflection directly of me. So that makes me nervous. And then the other part is that I'm really proud. I'm really proud of what we're doing, but that grinds up against some insecurity of like, well, I don't want it to seem like I'm bragging. Well, I don't want it to seem like I'm not being humble, or if I'm being too proud. So it's pushing up against some of those things.
That's really interesting, because I thought you were going to say that it pushes up against what people expect, and that you're afraid of the pushback of like, we're not doing business right.
Oh no, those people can go F themselves.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that we, like, if that was happening in the background.
Yeah. Every once in a while, the little like head of like imposter syndrome, I don't even know if that's true. Every once in a while, a little bit of the like, well, you're not doing this correctly. That messaging will get in, but that is one of the easiest ones to just bat away, because I have such disdain for late stage capitalism that I'm like, well, your thing is reflective of that. So as long as I'm not aligned with that, I feel like I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I feel you there. Do you want to like start let's how do we organize Cuddlist? What is our mission as a company?
Yeah,
what is our goal?
I want to start with this, and I can kick us off, and then specifically I want you to come in with your perspective, because you came on just after. So since you came back to Cuddlist, you'll have a good perspective. But to catch anyone up, if there's a brand new listener, hey, thanks, welcome. We're really glad you're here. To let you know what we're doing, we are having a podcast. Our company, Cuddlist, trains cuddle therapists. We've got other information about what that is, but the institution, the organization of Cuddlist itself has a certification program for folks who are curious about doing this kind of work, this somatic relational work. And then if they pass and are certified, then we have a membership program that allows people to join our directory and get continuous support and continuous resources to help them run their individual businesses. Because as opposed to some other models of organizations where like our practitioners are not our employees, whereas they might be in other places, our practitioners are all running their own personal private businesses. And so the membership part is us trying to do everything we can to support them, because we know that this work is really hard and it takes unique support, like you therapist resources or massage therapist resources kind of sort of help us, but we're in this interesting middle area in a no man's land that doesn't have a whole lot of existing customized support. So that's what we try to be. So that is the company of Cuddlist. And so how our business is structured, we're a pretty small team. I feel fortunate that we've been around for as long as we have. This year is it's 2025 if you're listening to this at a different point in time. And this year marks our 10-year anniversary. And a lot has changed. We feel really fortunate to have survived a lot of the things that we've survived, but our current structure has shifted quite a bit over the years. And maybe marked by its biggest shift is when I purchased a big portion of the company and became the CEO. And so now the structure is we have an advisory board. And the advisory board is a collection of 7 professionals who have been doing this for around 10 years. Some have been doing it for 7, some all the way to 10, but who have been doing this work for some of the longest in the industry. They are brilliant. They're multimodality trained practitioners and entrepreneurs and great folks. So that's our advisory board. There's me as the CEO, and we've got Michelle as another co-owner and the director of training. So Michelle's big responsibility, primarily besides having your hands in supporting absolutely everyone in the company, really is the final say in like how the training is run. It's one of our biggest points of pride in the entire company is our training. So we owe a lot of that to you. And a lot of that to where we came from, a lot of the history of it. And then we've got this incredible team. And I do genuinely call that a team. So we have a financial director, we have a virtual assistant and social media marketer, we have got a director of operations, we've got a director of membership or membership coordinator, and then we've got some other folks as well who are trainers. We have live Zoom, so real-time classes for our training. So we've got trainers there, and we've had different people throughout our history that help us. But it's a pretty small team. We've got like 10 folks, in addition to our advisory board.
Very part-time folks.
Very part-time, yeah. So as I described that, what like glaring things do you notice between, because you are part of Cuddlist's history in that you were the operations director for a long time. Mm-hmm. What years were you?
I came in so Cuddlist started in 2015. I came in the fall of 2016 to quote unquote answer a few emails. Like I remember Adam, one of the co-founders, said, "Hey, you write a blog. You can write. Can you answer a few emails for us?" Because it was a really small team then, too. It was Adam and Madeline, and I can't remember the name of the other person that was kind of the operations person at the time. But they needed a little bit of extra help, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then that person left, and then I kind of filled in. So, and then I left.
3-person team.
3-person team. Primarily until I left in 2020 during the height of early COVID. I stepped away, and I had an assistant at that point that I was able to kind of pass my responsibilities off to. And I had an assistant for operations for the last maybe 2 years of that 4-year run for me. So it was always a 3 or 4-person team for the most part. And I don't have much more to add besides the look on my face, right? Mm-hmm. It was we often say in our team, like, we passed the bus test. If one of us got hit by a bus, would the company survive? And no, we didn't pass the bus test. Like, I knew that if something happened to me, everything would crumble. And
It becomes
that's a
responsible.
lot to carry.
It's pressure.
I used to often say I don't understand why they're not offering me ownership, because what was keeping me there, like, it was interesting. It was an interesting time. Um I did get offered ownership just in the middle of probably the worst time to offer it, which was in COVID and everybody was panicking. Yeah. So it didn't feel great. And it probably contributed a bit to me deciding to take a break. And I never left Cuddlist. I
As a
never
member.
left membership, but I did step away from operations and leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was an interesting time that I was getting the first time I was involved in anything organizational with Cuddlist was in 2021, I think was the
It makes
earliest
sense.
I ever did anything. Because when I came in, it was just that 3-person team. It was the two co-owners at the time, and then that your one assistant was the
Mm-hmm.
person running absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like everything was, duct tape and a prayer. And one of the things that shocked me the most and felt so egregiously like, oh goodness, was that person had to go have a medical procedure and be in the hospital, like under anesthesia, put under whole procedure, right? And they brought their laptop with them and were working from the hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was brand new in. That was fairly early on. I was like, I'm pretty mortified. There was a point at which I was like, this is, you guys know, like, hey, don't do that. That seems terrible. Don't do that. We'll survive. And so I became director of development was my title. The idea was the two co-owners had been running this thing for like 7 years, right? They were totally understandably getting a little burnt out. It's hard to run a small business. It's hard to build something from the ground up in an absolutely unheard of industry. It's not like they're running a bodega on the corner because there's millions of bodegas, right? And they're not running a franchise here. This is something that's completely new. And so understandably both getting kind of burnt out. And so I was sort of brought in, definitely not into ownership at the very, very beginning, but then quickly talked about like what that would look like to like inject some life and inject some new, fresh ideas and motivation and excitement into it. And it quickly became the like, oh, actually deep down, the both of you are so done. The both of you've been done for a long time. But it's been running on this shoestring, so everyone has felt very chained to this
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? Like if anyone leaves, it's going to all crumble, right? And so now one of our biggest shifts in the company, the structure of it, and then I kind of want to get into the ethos of
Mm-hmm.
it because that also changed a bit. The structure is everyone in the company is cross-trained. So while people are in charge of their different departments, they're not the only person who knows how to do their job. We've got one of our teammates going on a full month-long vacation to Australia. We're really, really excited for that person to have so much fun and completely unplug. We don't want them to have to take, that's a whole month. And we don't want them to have to take their stuff with them, like just leave everything. And that's really important. It's really important for us to, and why I say that that structure reflects our ethos is because Cuddlist as a company, the training and the modality of cuddle therapy hinges on this foundational idea that all people are valuable, that we're going to look at the authentic human being first. We're going to value that human being not as a resource that we can exploit, not as someone who can get us something, but as their own independent, important person with their entire life that is valid. And we take that into the company's structure. So we want people to live their life. A job is a job. We are really passionate about this job. We find a lot of meaning, a lot of value, and a lot of purpose in this job. And it's a job. everyone in our company needs to be able to turn it completely off and not think about it at all if they need to.
So I get to fill in,
Mm-hmm.
which is such a weird retro kind of space to fall into. Uh, as someone who used to do that job and how it's changed and watching those changes. And we have great people. Like, you don't come in as like one spot and stay in your lane. I feel like this is a thing I kind of chuckle every time we bring someone new in. They always say the same thing. Well, I have this skill over here and this other thing, but I know that's not what I was hired for. And we have to like give them that express permission that we want all of your talents to be able to bloom here, because we've all, well, a lot of us have been running our own stuff for a long time. And we have our own little interesting buckets of knowledge that don't necessarily fit just in our
How many
lane.
times have we heard someone say, I just don't want to step on anyone's toes?
Yes, that's the phrase. That's the phrase.
Like, no. Do you have a talent in a thing? Is it exciting for you to do? Yes, please. We try to keep egos in check, and we do that structurally. So here's some people really balk at and get really uncomfortable talking about money, and I understand that. And I'm about to do it. So if that's something you're uncomfortable with, steel yourself. We try to keep our egos in check, and the roles that everyone is doing, it is a role in service of this thing that we're doing together, this project that we're doing together. And in honoring of that, and in honoring that every single role everyone plays is important, everyone gets paid the exact same. Everyone, the one asterisk is that if we have to bring in like a fully outside contractor from a field that's not like part of our core team, like had hire some web developers and whatnot, we can't, like, if we're hiring a one-time web developer on a project, we just pay their rates. You know what I mean? Pay people what they're worth, right? But within our structure of the core team of the org, I, as the CEO, make the exact same as the assistant. And all across the board, when anyone gets a raise, we all get a raise. It is, and we operate as much on a flat profit structure, meaning that anyone who is an owner, we don't collect profits, because everyone in our company, their salary, I say loosely, their compensation is maybe a better word, because we're all part-time. Their compensation, and if they get a bonus, we consider all of that expenses. So everyone is paid first. And if there's anything left over at all, it goes into innovation. It goes into growth for the company. So the owners, you tell this story, I don't want to steal it from you, but you said about like, someone was like, "Oh, you're buying this company? Great, that's your retirement." Go ahead, go tell your story.
Yeah. So first I came back as director of training when Madeline was ready to retire. I was shocked and really, really honored for her to ask me to take that position so she could leave. Like, wow. Like, wow. And I came in with really, really strict boundaries for myself to not let my role bleed into other areas. I had a limit. I limited myself on how many hours I was going to put into it. There was a lot of me practicing really good boundaries to not fall into old roles, right? Did that. And then it became the question of buying shares and coming in as an owner at the beginning of the year. And wow, did that open up, almost like I say, like you let a racehorse out of the gate of like all these things I've been holding myself very, very carefully to stay in my lane of, I'm not the director of operations anymore. I'm not these things. And now I get to touch everything, and it's fantastic, right? So when we make the announcement that I am now a co-owner, my sister calls me right up. Now, mind you, she owns a law firm. And she's like, "Oh, this is so exciting for you. This is really going to be great for retirement." And I was like, "Oh, actually, yeah, no, I bought into the company to never really get a return a direct return on my investment, as far as like, you're not going to get dividends, things like that. I'm invested in the community. I'm invested in the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I love that I get a voice and I'm at the table, and that's what I bought into. I bought into the belief that this is really, really important work, and I want to be really, really involved in shaping the company, the industry, right? That's what I bought into. And so it's kind of this meh, 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 like, yeah, that's what you think traditionally, but that's not where our heart is. We want to be really successful.
Yeah.
But we want everyone involved to be really successful. And I think you and I bonded over, what was that book? Something about
Emergent Strategy?
I survived capitalism, and all I got was this t-shirt.
Yeah. Madeline Pendleton. Shout out to Madeline Pendleton.
Yeah, you turned me on to that book, and I think that was part of the reason that I was a good fit to come in, was that I was totally bought in to the structure and how we wanted this company to function.
And that is wholly different than it has ever functioned in the past. And we've gotten pushback, or at the very least, I know I have explicitly gotten pushback from people in my life saying like, well, that's really stupid. You shouldn't do that. And I disagree, right? Because for me, it's like, I have so much passion in this thing. I need this to be something that I like. I need this to be something that I enjoy, in a place I enjoy, and who I work with. If they're just as passionate as I am about this thing, then that's sustainable for me. And the way to make them we're a small friggin' company. We are a little company. We have a big name, and that's so wonderful, but it's the name and the recognition that we have in our teeny tiny industry is deceptive in thinking that like, oh, we're this huge. No, we're a little tiny team. And I want all of the people that I'm working with to be as invested, because I can't do all the things that ethically I want to do for them, because that's not possible. And if I'm also not benefiting from it, then I don't feel like I'm taking advantage of that. Everyone has full choice. And when I say I can't ethically do things, like, it's part-time, I can't offer someone full benefits. That's the kind of thing I mean. Like, in a world where I can wave a magic wand, and where we intend to build to, where we are currently on track chipping away at building to, is that anyone who wants to be a full-time employee will be salaried, or will have a pay structure that matches exactly what they want, and that is pretty much equal to everybody else. And will have full benefits, and they'll have paid time off, and they'll have maternity leave, and they'll have paternity leave, and they'll have all of those things, right? That I think are so crucial to people's lives and well-being. And in this growth period, the best I can do is to make sure whatever structure we're at, we're all doing it together. We're building it together.
Yeah. We're all invested in it. I'm not living on an island away from everyone else that's doing the work of keeping this company thriving, and showing up for our members, and we're showing up for each other just as much as we're showing up for our members.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also part of the thing about it, is like, since I can't provide all those things in this world that would mean someone has the full, thriving, complete life, then I can't expect them to prioritize this beyond what is in their genuine excitement and passion to do. Which is another reason it points back to the bus test. Like, no, if you need to drop this because life comes up, drop it wholly. Go handle whatever, and that's also why it's part-time, so that people can supplement other things that they're doing. And this is just supporting people in the other things that they're doing in their life as well, because they like it, because it's fun, because they really enjoy being part of a team. One of the things that feels so much like that I'm insecure about saying, because it feels so much like a brag, and I'm also really proud of it, is nearly our entire team at some point or another has said explicitly to us and to other people how this, being in this team, being in this company, has healed part of their relationship to work. It has healed their relationship. Like, we were trying to hire a new person, and we got a recommendation from one of the people on our team, and I was privy to, they showed me their communication exchange after the fact, and the recommendation thing was like, no, they actually like follow through on what they say they're gonna do. They actually walk the walk.
That's
And
my
I was
love
like, that feels
language.
so honored. What do you say?
Yeah, that's my love language, the follow through, you know.
Mhm.
I'm such a I need your words to be impeccable.
And there's room for humanity, but our goal and value of having integrity is one of our highest ones, and we don't, and it's not lip service.
I mean, can
And
we
we're
also brag that we're a queer owned company? Like,
nearly
I
everyone in our entire organization is.
there's so many things I want to brag
Weird.
about. I want to brag about that we're queer owned. Like everybody on our staff, now it's not a requirement, but we all identify somewhere in the LGBTQIA plus world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love that we have a DE&I section in our training.
Mm-hmm. It's not
Like,
going to go anywhere. They can
no,
legislate that I can't do it, and then no, it's not going to change.
I love that it's there, and I love that it becomes one of the most commonly referenced at the end of training for the people that are coming back through and upping their certification, like renewing their certification to the new training. That's one of the things that they really value that we've added. You know, I think we're just, I don't know, we're fun, yet we get shit done in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can have both.
Yeah, yeah. That's why hearing you say that is reminding me a little bit of, like, we've had people get the impression, or someone has said to us, we're like the Uber of this world. And that makes me so wholly cringe, because when I think of Uber, I think of exploitation. I think of exploiting drivers and using using them as cogs in your tech money making machine, and not, yeah. And the whole point for us, because no, they're not employees, because we're empowering entrepreneurs, like that's part of our mission statement. Like, we don't want to take any ownership of what other people are building,
Mm-hmm.
which is also why, as opposed to some other models out there, we are not. So how do I explain this concisely and easily, that is easily understood? Some places out there where you can list as a cuddle therapist require that all of your communication be on that platform, and have you sign or have an understanding of like a non-compete clause, because technically if a client is coming to their website, that's the website's client, and you are just one of the people serving the website's client. And I think that is so, for me, how that feels is really predatory. Like, that's your client. This is your business. I don't want to take that away from anybody. The sense of pride and empowerment that comes with that. My goal is to be a support system for those people to have thriving personal businesses that I don't have a hand in. That's not mine. That is yours. Because as someone who also has my own private practice, I don't want a company coming in and saying, well, yeah, those are my clients. I'm like, you can go.
Or this is the
Fly
procedure
kite.
you have to follow. Or and like
Mm-mm.
we don't set your prices.
We don't take a percentage of anyone's
We have a
session.
membership fee, but beyond that, we don't
Yeah.
touch, we have a minimum fee that you have to charge because we don't want to race to the bottom of this modality.
We want people
Um
to value themselves.
yeah, but beyond that, like you get to make your own prices, you collect your own money. We don't take any part of that.
Mm-mm.
And you know, it is yeah, we are not, there are there are other companies that I would say are much closer to the Uber model than us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that people get confused about with us. I mean, it's funny because the cuddle therapy industry is infinitesimally small, right? It is so small. And so, but if we're looking at that microcosm, we are super fortunate that the people who built this company originally were able to do such a really good job of getting the name out there, of making it so recognizable, of doing wonderful work, marketing, and setting a brand expectation and a brand voice. They really did such a beautiful job. And so I think people will conflate often something being a familiar name with the company being large.
Yeah, we're the Kleenex of the cuddle world,
Mm-hmm.
you
People
know?
will
And
use,
so we become cuddlist as a term for professional cuddler or cuddle therapist. It's
right.
interchangeable. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that would be, if I said like what I get cringy about is when we are misrepresented because somebody assumes that broad name. It'd be like, okay, if you picked up the cheapest tissue, facial tissue at your local Dollar General,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, can you grab me a Kleenex? And you're like, this is a Kleenex,
Yeah,
right?
this is vivid. And yes,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
feeling this.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're feeling it literally. Your skin feels different, right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
So in the attempt to like educate the consumer, you need to know, and maybe this is a whole nother episode of educating the consumer of what is a cuddlist, what is a cuddlist session, what do you look for when you're looking for a professional to work with,
Mm-hmm.
because people have really, because it's so cool that we have become the Kleenex of the professional cuddling world. We have to do a little bit of extra like education to make sure that we're keeping our brand um,
Mm-hmm.
clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, clear communication. That's another weird thing that um, is is sort of a misunderstanding, is that our Cuddlist's customer is practitioners,
Mm-hmm.
and our practitioners' customer are people or clients seeking cuddle therapy. But as part of what we want to do to support our customer, our practitioners, we try to do advertising in both spaces,
Mm-hmm.
which is challenging. But that's part of the reason why there's that confusion around, like, well, are the practitioners our employees? And like, no, we're just doing everything we possibly can to help them because that's who we are here to serve. We're here to make sure that, and it's all, I mean, I'm going to walk that a little bit back, in that we're not just here to serve them. We also, part of our ethos is making this type of therapy safe, accessible, trauma informed, and such high quality to customers, to clients seeking the service.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very interesting, but it's also not the most it's not the most lucrative business model. It's actually really not.
No,
But it's heart driven.
we're
I'd
not
rather
here.
do that all day long.
I don't. I mean, you and I started as practitioners back
Yeah.
in the early years, and I saw it as like, for me, it was this. Oh my goodness, you're actually empowering me to get paid for my emotional labor.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cultural shift doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like we're not here because we're you and I are not here because we're looking for the venture capitalists to come in and like swoop this place up, right? We're not looking at metrics from a place of how do we make this um a business that is like sought after for purchase.
Mm-mm.
We look at this as like, how do we keep expanding the bubble of how do we get more and more people into the inside that understand the power of this work and how we can change the world through this work?
Mm-hmm.
I say in my Cuddlist, like in our about section where you and I have our profiles,
Mm-hmm.
one of my goals is to get this to be recognizable, like somatic experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we didn't start doing, at least I didn't start doing this work with any concept of what the power of this work would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no clue at that time how powerful it would be for my clients and how powerful it would be for me in my own personal growth journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, is because it has changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to be able to continue to change more and more people's lives.
It's such a microcosm of the world that we want to live in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because the world that we want to live in, turns out, goes in the face of a lot of the world's expectations and systems that we do live in. Like, it's so interesting that for us, the less we focus on profit,
Mm-hmm.
the less we value that, the more we enjoy our work.
Mm-hmm.
The better the experience is, the happier everyone is. And we have to grow a little slower, but we're also growing in a way that protects everyone's well-being, and we all want to be there. It's almost like happiness is what gives you happiness, not necessarily money. Now I know that there's a, please no one come in the comment section and talk about that study, because I do know that there's a specific correlation, and then after, like, I'm familiar with that, but my point still stands. Prioritizing it as a be-all end-all of itself, no. Prioritizing the things that make life lovely: interpersonal relationships, authentic connection, safety around physical touch, valuing the whole of a human being and not as something to exploit. Those are the things that make life really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's the world that we want to live in. Is there anything else that feels important to mention about Cuddlist as a company?
I don't know. In the background we have this joke about, are we a cult? The cuddle cult, right? Because
we've been called that.
Our inner circles of people, our advisory board, the people, our team, our leadership team, we're all really, really close. Like,
yeah,
I think,
we actually like each other.
We don't have a meeting that doesn't start with a personal check-in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We want to know, how are you today? And we don't necessarily need it to be flowery. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay to come in and say, I'm having a shit day. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say, I'm not going to make it today because I'm having a shit day. Like, there's no repercussions for that.
We've had people come in the very first part of our company, I hate using this word, but like the equivalent of our corporate check-in meeting, and cry. Mm-hmm. And like, that's totally fine.
Yeah. So when we joke about whether we're a cult or not, I always say, if we're a cult, we're the cult. We're like anti-cult, because it's all about helping support you in your own personal empowerment, mm-hmm. your own authority, which is quite the opposite of, I watch a lot of cult shows. And so I will make myself a minimal authority on this and say, we are definitely not a cult.
Well, if we are, it'd be such a really poor choice.
It's a poor model.
It's a poor model, because we're a cult that's constantly encouraging its members to leave and forget about it and be like, no, go take your life takes priority. Don't be here if you can't. Okay,
so that reminds me of a thing I want to say before we wrap this up. That's part of our integrity agreement, right? Mm-hmm. Is that if either us or the practitioner are uncomfortable with something, that we promise to bring it up to each other, and we maybe need just to part ways. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just a decision on, are you a paying customer?
Yeah, that's a paradigm shift that sometimes is a little bit hard and rubs us in some conflict sometimes, because our practitioners are used to a world that is very like traditional service industry model kind of a thing, Right. And so sometimes we have a small ragtag team and we have boundaries around like, okay, it's going to be 24 to 48 business hours before you're going to get a response. And every once in a while, people are like, no, I should get a response immediately. I have a problem. Do this now. And we're like, we're going to do our very best to give you the absolute best customer service that we can. And I'm always going to value the like, we're always going to make it right. We're going to make it right with you, but it might take a minute because we're going to value everyone's well-being. And if this place isn't right, I'm also not trying to like desperately hold on to anyone who doesn't find the way that we do things to match what's comfortable for them. I'm not going to try to like hold on to that customer with a tight grip, like with white knuckling, because I would rather, and I know that they're going to be happier somewhere else and I'm going to be happier somewhere else. So, or like without that. So it's really changing that dynamic. And so sometimes that's a little bit hard to adjust to, of the like, hey, we're actually entering into a different kind of a dynamic where we're both valued. We're both showing up, and you as the customer and us as the other people, we're actually kind of flattening this power dynamic, just like we do in sessions. And we're both going to hold that each of us needs to have respect because each of us are humans. And we get choice and we get respect and we get autonomy.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about Cuddlist. I hope that we get some more conversations about this with other people, because it brings to light different elements of it that we don't think to, because we have one perspective, we're on the inside, and having other people reflect what the experience is like from different vantage points is also really helpful.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, drop us a comment. How did it, are you surprised? How did this conversation differ from what you assumed? I'm super curious about this one.
Tell us about all the ways we're not doing capitalism right.
Yeah, sure. Knock us over the head with it if you'd like to.
Yeah. We'll take that algorithm bump.
Right. Probably won't change anything.
It won't.
But yeah. All right, Keeley.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the time I get to spend with you, Michelle. It's kind of the best. As always, go ahead.
I just want to say I have so enjoyed becoming a co-owner with you. Like, it's really deepened our friendship, and I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else.
I agree. Wholeheartedly. Yeah. Well, anyone who's listening, whether you are an entrepreneur, a client, a therapist listening, whoever you are, thank you so much for being here. And as always, big hugs if you want them.
Big hugs.